Though I was originally supposed to do a review of this last month after I forgot to do a review, well, for its anniversary back in November of last year, but then and I canceled it because I didn't go see I Want to Dance with Somebody. Well, today's the day I'm going to make up for it. So here's my long overdue review of The Bodyguard with Kevin Costner and the late great Whitney Houston. Bad days! Entertainment rankings and reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name's Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1992 romantic drama thriller The Bodyguard, released by Warner Bros., directed by Mick Jackson, written by Lawrence Kasdan, starring Kevin Costner along with Whitney Houston in her acting debut, Gary Kemp, Bill Cobbs, and Ralph Waite. The film follows a former U.S. Secret Service agent turned bodyguard who is hired to protect a famous actress and singer from an unknown stalker. Now, Kasdan wrote the film in the mid 70s, originally as a vehicle for Steve McQueen and Diana Ross. Yeah. Now, this film was pretty big, despite critics panned this film for its screenplay and performances by the lead actors. But nonetheless, the film was a big success and it had a big selling soundtrack as well. So, let's go ahead and get started on the story. Rachel Maran is an Academy Award nominated actress and music superstar who is being sent death threats by a stalker. After a bomb explodes in her dressing room, her manager Bill Devaney seeks out professional bodyguard Frank Farmer, a former Secret Service agent who served on the Carter and Reagan presidential details to protect her. Frank reluctantly accepts Devaney's offer, but he feels Rachel is a spoiled diva who is oblivious to the threats against her life. Rachel soon accuses Frank of being paranoid, complaining that his extensive protection techniques are intrusive. However, Frank and Rachel grow closer when he rescues her from danger after a riot erupts at one of her concerts. Her existing bodyguard, Tony, resents Frank's presence, leading to a brawl between the two in Rachel's kitchen. Though Frank tries to remain professional, he and Rachel sleep together and he breaks off the affair the next day, realizing it compromises his ability to protect her. Hurt, Rachel begins to defy Frank's security measures. Then, to make Frank jealous, Rachel flirts with his former Secret Service colleague Greg Portman, whom she meets at a Miami party. When her stalker places a threatening phone call, Rachel finally recognizes the seriousness of the situation and her need to trust Frank completely. Frank, Rachel, her son Fletcher, her older sister Nikki, and her driver Henry then travel to a large lakefront cabin in the mountains, the home of Frank's father, Herb. The next day, Frank rescues Fletcher from a small motorboat just before it blows up. After Frank secures the house for the night, a drunk Nikki, upset that Fletcher could have died, admits to Frank that she hired a hitman to kill Rachel during a fit of jealousy, but that the letters from the stalker came before that. She has paid in full and does not know the killer's identity. Abruptly, the hitman breaks into the dark house and fatally shoots Nikki. Frank pursues the killer into the woods. He shoots at the assailant, misses, and the assailant escapes. Frank learns that the stalker has been apprehended earlier that day and was in custody when Nikki was killed. Alright, now for the final act and ending. As always, you know the procedure. You go have 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below. If you've seen the movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. A few days after Nikki's funeral is the Academy Awards ceremony where Frank gives Rachel a panic button in the shape of a cross to immediately alert him to any trouble. Despite this, a plethora of backstage technical issues hamper Frank's efforts to monitor the proceedings closely. While presenting an award, Rachel freezes and runs off stage, angry at Frank for embarrassing her with overprotective measures. Later, Rachel is announced as the winner for Best Actress. But as she comes on stage to accept the award, Portman is revealed to be the hitman, masquerading as the bodyguard for the ceremony's host. Frank notices Portman pointing a gun disguised as a camera at Rachel. As Portman prepares for the fatal shot, Frank runs on stage and leaps in front of Rachel, taking the bullet meant for her and setting off chaos amongst the audience. Immediately regaining his balance, Frank shoots and kills Portman while the gun is aimed at Rachel. Frank is left wounded and Rachel calls for help, all the while urging him to stay with her as he slowly passes out. Frank recovers from the shooting and bids farewell to Rachel at the airport, both knowing their relationship would never work out. After the plane starts to take off, Rachel suddenly orders the plane to stop, jumps out, and runs to Frank for one last passionate kiss. Sometime later, Rachel performs I Will Always Love You on stage. While elsewhere, Frank is at an annual dinner, keeping a vigilant eye on his next assignment, while a minister is seen holding a cross similar to the one he gave Rachel. End of story. So, what did I think of the Bodyguard? Well, it's a pretty decent movie and why have you. It isn't really one of the best though. Now, although it was the second biggest film of '92 behind Aladdin, at the time of its release, the 10th highest grossing film of all time. Despite being panned by the critics, the film went on to make 411 million worldwide. The film's soundtrack became the best-selling soundtrack of all time, even before the soundtrack to Titanic even came out, with sales of over 45 million copies worldwide and won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, while singles like I Have Nothing and Run to You received nominations for the Academy Award for Best Original Song. But unfortunately, despite the critics for dissing it, the film was nominated for 7 Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Picture, Worst Actor for Costner, and Worst Actress for Houston. Yes. Horrible. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, but at the Razzies, it didn't win any of its awards. Nope. However, it won numerous awards at the American Music Awards and the Billboard Music Awards as well, plus a lot of others. Anyway, it still did well, but anyway. And of course, the soundtrack was so big that it included a hit. It had, well, 5 songs done by Houston that included, well, aside from I Have Nothing and Run to You, plus Queen of the Night, plus covers of Chaka Khan's I'm Every Woman and I Will Always Love You, which was done by Dolly Parton, which easily became a monster hit for Whitney, becoming probably one of her biggest and most successful hits of them all. As the song, well, the single itself sold over 20 million units worldwide, becoming the best selling physical single by a female artist of all time. Yes. There'd be lots of other people appearing on the soundtrack as well. And the score was done by Alan Silvestri, who has done the scores in numerous films. I won't mention them all, but anyway, since the film came out in November of 1992, was released on during Thanksgiving. Again, it still did good despite critics were hard on this. There was to be a sequel. Costner contacted his longtime friend, Princess Diana, to star. She agreed. The first draft arrived the day before her death. Following her passing, the film was scrapped. Now, and since last year marked a decade since we lost Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner was one of the mourners who spoke at her funeral. And apparently, there's even a remake in talks. Well, that's back in September of 2021. Matthew Lopez will be writing this. Let's see. And let's see. And in 2012, there was a musical adaptation. So anyway, nonetheless, the Bodyguard still had some pretty decent moments. While again, may not be the best, well, to critics, but hey, it's kind of a mixed bag to me. It has its moments. Kevin Costner was fine as Frank, and Whitney Houston was good as Rachel. Gary Kemp played Cy Spector, and Bill Cobbs played Bill Devaney. Ralph Waite played Herb, and Thomas Arana played Greg Portman. Excuse me. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I think this was just not too bad. So overall, with everything said about this, the story was decent, what have you. The movie was factually okay, decent, what have you. And while it does have a pretty good casting, though, despite the critics were hard on the main leads, and it did have a good score from Alan Silvestri, and does have a good soundtrack. Would I recommend The Bodyguard? Well, I'm gonna kind of put it in a draw between sure, go ahead, and give it a one time watch. So it's a draw between sure, go ahead, and give it a one time watch. So anyway, that'll be what I'm going to give my opinion for it. So, what did you think of The Bodyguard? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And stay tuned, we'll have another video coming up soon. So, thanks for watching, and if you like this, check out some of these other things that feature them. Some of the people who worked on this. If you like a little more Kevin Costner, go to the upper left-hand corner and see my review of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which he did a year before The Bodyguard came out. Or go to the upper right-hand corner and see my review of this guilty pleasure Mick Jackson, the director of this film, did. And that would be the disaster film Volcano, which was released 5 years later. Well, actually, almost 5 years later. Or if you want another kind of Bodyguard, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my recent review of the 2021 sequel, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, the sequel to the Hitman's Bodyguard. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.